Wisco, let's go, baby. Top of the evening to you. Actually, I've noticed we've had not just Michigan, but the Minnesota viewership is growing quite a bit as well. So I guess we'll just say shout out to the Midwest. Everybody stopping out this evening. It is Wednesday. Did sound like my house was going to blow over there for a minute. So hopefully the old Spectrum stays strong and it's a connection to the interwebs here. I'm sure it will. We got Jill in the house right away. Top of the evening, Jill. Always appreciate your support. Speaking of support, always love to give a shout out to our partners who make things possible here at the podcast. We've got Higher Love. Obviously, they are located up in the UP. And if you're up in the UP, make sure you check them out. Use that discount code. They got the deli style flour. Shout out to the Blue Dream Organic Grow. That's my new favorite. It's perfect for not getting too silly. Staying for me, anyways. I like to smoke a whole pre-roll, and some of this stuff is out there is super potent stuff. So I enjoy the Blue Dream. Still able to enjoy my board games, that kind of thing, but really helps with the ADHD at the end of the night to kind of wind things down. We got Heather in the house. Heather, how's it going? Thanks for swinging by. And then also shout out to All Things Cannabis in Wisconsin, our partner Ignite Dispensary. Our awesome guest this evening, Nate Davis, is also from Ignite, so he'll get a quick little plug there as well. But much love to them, everything they do. They're located across the state, Milwaukee, Spooner, Manitowoc, Superior, Hayward, New Richmond. They got it going on. We got Jeremiah in the house too. What's up, brother? Let's get Nate in here, though. Get to talk some growing today. Really looking forward to that. Got a chance to check out things there when I was out there. Oh, man. It's a couple weeks ago now. But, Nate, how we doing, boss? Oh, I have you muted. That's my bad. How you doing, buddy? That's my bad.
You're good doing now. Pretty well, man. How about you, Bobby?
We're doing well, man. We're doing well.
Good.
Yeah, really appreciate you joining in and getting us a little insight on some indoor growing. Shout out to DNA Hemp, who we had on Monday. They do their outdoor grow, and really excited to get some information on how things work for you guys over there. I'm going to pull up some video quick so they can see. We got Diane in the house too. Hey, Diane, how's it going? Let's pull up some video that I got to take when I was out there, but it's also that picture that I had a couple weeks ago that I shared with you guys. Let's get this pulled up. All right, so here is the beauty. What strain was this one, boss? Can you tell from the video here?
I can't remember if that was mint blueberry kush or.
I kind of went quick, but I wanted to get both.
Yeah, on here. Yeah, it was either that or it was, maybe a Sunday driver strain. I think maybe.
I was when I was taking this video, man. There was flowers everywhere. So yeah, it's hard to tell. Where we're at, but so yeah, Nate's definitely got things dialed in on the indoor grow out there in Spooner, and also love your guys' store out there. You actually get to see this grow from the shop area, the dispensary area. Mm-hmm. You can see in there, you can smell it. It's awesome. It's a really neat store out there, and just the way you guys bring product to the market with the education, doing stuff yourself. Really appreciate what you guys do. And Nate, can you tell us a little bit of what kind of got you into things with cannabis?
I mean, I guess it kind of starts back to when I was a teenager, about 15 years old, I think is the first time I, tried cannabis. I kind of fell in love with it, at the time, everybody was kind of pushing the whole Prozac thing for depression and all these other things for, this ailment and that. And I just wasn't ever about, medication like that. I found more benefits just from smoking the plant. My brother and I, actually, a funny story, there used to be an old farmer out in the area, and his sons used to grow back in the 70s. And apparently they got busted. And anyways, the whole seed went to crops. So my brother dared me to go out there one night with him and sneak out in this farm field and not get shot by the old farmer.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he was.
So we drove out and we had kind of parked at the edge of a field, and we crept along this whole creek. I won't disclose the area, but anyways,
yeah.
So we're going by moonlight down this creek, and we cross over the creek and we come over by this old broken down, silo, a cow barn kind of thing. And I look up in the moonlight and there's 13-foot plants just swaying in the wind with these massive colas, but all full of seed. So just seeing that for the first time, I think it just hooked me. You know what I mean? I was just fascinated by it for sure.
Yeah.
Years later. Oh, go ahead.
Did you get some seeds?
Oh yeah. I kept some seeds. Yeah. So eventually, eventually I'd love to, try to bring those back as well too. So we did. A buddy of mine experimented down in Illinois with it. We actually were able to. We grew it. It was like 15 feet tall. Probably take about 4 or 5 guys to get their arms all around this thing.
Holy crap!
And it tested out at 5% THC and 7% CBG. So we're talking really old school stuff. Yeah. So, yeah. So just kind of crazy. I mean, that's where it kind of started.
Sure.
Going through high school, I had friends and stuff in the area. Their dads, they grew with things like that. I a couple times. This is all past the statute of limitations, so it doesn't matter anyway. I'm pretty old. So,
sure.
Anyways, yeah. So there's buddies I knew, their parents grew and stuff like that. So I always kind of just keep my ears open, and I was able to help harvest and stuff. And my father, he grew, things like that as well too. So
sure.
Yeah, just kind of always. I've been slowly exposed to it, I suppose,
Sure. No, that's awesome, man. I think we all have our own kind of unique, run in with how we've got involved. But I think it's pretty neat that I don't think there's too many that it would have been like I picture that whole story like a Huckleberry Finn type scenario, just kind of these young kids and then the moon and just like amazement, like, whoa.
Yeah. The best part is, we thought we'd be slick and try to bring some back to the house, because we didn't know what the hell we were doing. So, and, we also thought our parents wouldn't smell it.
Yeah, right.
So anyways, as we tried to dry it out, we were pitching the seeds out the back window out of my brother's bedroom there. And one day we walked back, there was about 27, 28 starts just growing there wild.
Oh, wow. Okay. So they were definitely ready to go. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. So just that kind of, it was just the excitement of it, just the plant. Honestly, probably my favorite way to look at a cannabis plant sometimes is at nighttime, just to see that structure and that shape and stuff. Especially on the natural elements. It's just awesome. So
that's awesome, man. And when was your first run in with switching to indoor?
Indoor. So basically, it was all, mostly outdoor experimenting and stuff for the most part. Indoor would have been when I kind of entered Ignite, which is about 4 years ago.
Okay.
So basically, at the time I came in to, help build this grow and stuff over here. I had known Tim Fry, the CEO, since high school, and a couple other guys that were working here at the time as well too. So I kind of got in the door that way, and we had partnered up with he's like Country Cannabis at the time, which is now the Stash out of Minnesota over there. So
sure.
We had a partnership with them. So basically I got asked to come in, help water, help do maintenance of the building, stuff like that, which then turned into, basically working under the owner of Stash, Josh or whatever. So he's out of California or whatever. So, he had a lot of grow experience from out there, second generation growers, stuff like that. So we got started in that. We had 2 grow rooms in here that we ran with high pressure sodium, stuff like that. We were doing like 125 plants at a time. So basically we kind of started building up. That's when Nikki Halverson came in that you met over here, and then there used to be another employee, Nick Hoyle, used to work here too. But so yeah, all 3 of us would kind of run it, and Josh was, off doing business, stuff like that. So that's how it started.
Gotcha.
By 2022, we had entered the Legacy Cannabis Cup over in Minnesota, and then we took first place for best CBG flower. So yeah, it's kind of pretty cool. So since then, that partnership has dissolved. So basically, Tim wanted to keep this going. So he had myself and Nikki come in and keep running the grow over here. So
awesome, right on. And it's at least my understanding is, well, I guess it can go both ways. What's your take on what makes indoor growing different from outdoor in terms of quality, yield, and maintenance?
I think, I prefer outdoor. I'd say, the plant, it's easier to work up in. You don't have to clean up constantly. Inside it's like you have to think about pest management, all these things. Mold, all this kind of stuff that can happen to these plants and stuff. So it's literally a 7-day-a-week job, sometimes, unless you're running automation. But even at that point, I still believe somebody's got to be there to babysit. So
sure.
To be successful, to do it inside. Outside, obviously we have a little bit more leniency. We have Mother Nature on our side. I believe the plants are, more resilient as well outdoor.
Sure.
Just because, you know what I mean? Because they'll build up more natural defenses and things like that. So, indoor is, I think indoor, definitely, I think like percentage wise, like the highest I've, seen outdoors so far is 26 to 28%. Indoor, you can hit that pretty easy. You know what I mean? Sure. So mostly you're going to run about 15 to 25% on average from any dispensary. But pushing it that little extra, I think indoor it gives you the upper hand there. So
sure. And I think you bring up an interesting point too, because like, at least just I don't have experience growing outdoors. I was going to try that this year. Now they got the hemp growers license and that, but I feel like Ashley had brought this up on Monday. Like obviously you can make the nug look absolutely perfect indoor, but there's still something about, and it might not be that it, a lot of people are looking for THC content, that kind of thing. So it might not be more potent, but there's something to be said about, like you say, this plant is, instead of being kind of pushed to the limits every day, it's out there working with Mother Nature how it was intended. And to some people that might sound silly, but this plant has been around for how long? And like, I feel like there is just some kind of a connection with the outdoor growers. But I think they both have their place.
100%.
And ideally, once things are a little less restrictive, I'm assuming you would probably enjoy doing both.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I have buddies that grow in other states and stuff. I stay in contact with them in legal states, so
sure.
It gets kind of, like sitting around waiting, you know what I mean? But, it'll eventually come, and, it's going to be exciting to be able to do both. I think outdoor, I like I said, I love doing both. My preference though would probably be outdoor, honestly. It's a lot less work.
Sure.
But, I guess you brought up a good point too, what are you growing for? You want quantity? Do you want quality? That's kind of the decision you want to make. You can grow out. Indoor, you're also restricted unless you're in a giant facility or a warehouse or something like that, where you can stage out your areas and, decide how big you want your plants, or if you want to use 20-gallon pots, or you want to use 3-gallon bags, or you're doing your sea of green, or whatever you're going to do, right? Sure. But it's just, like I said, pros and cons of both of it. But outside, you can grow a plant that's, 15 feet tall, like I said, and like 20 feet around. And keep topping it and topping it and topping it, and it's just, what do you want out of the plant?
Sure. So, how big are you looking to get? What kind of yield do you need? Yep. Felt that. Can you walk us through what a typical day in your grow operation currently looks like? I suppose it would depend on the season of the plant, but.
Yeah. So from when you were here last, harvest started and stuff like that. So, we had to take some plants down and stuff like that. So we're just about done. Towards the end of it, we have to, abide by the USDA regulations, stuff like that, have a 15-day pre-harvest test, things like that, and then send in for testing, wait for our test results to come back as well. So that's kind of where we're at with this run. We're starting back up, with another run. Usually so we have, like Bobby had said, we have an observation window in our store. So the customers can come into the dispensary and look through the window there and actually see the plants. So it's kind of cool. Sometimes I get a little spooked, all of a sudden you're working and somebody's, just standing right there. Yeah. It's, it keeps me on my toes and keeps me in line a little bit better though. So, you know what I mean? But,
no, that's fair
enough. But I really believe, it's a super cool option for the customers. It's more of a hands-on experience, and who gets to see that, on a daily basis, too. So.
Sure. No, I think that's really cool, man. Excuse me. What are some of the steps you take to ensure the quality and consistency of your cannabis plants with indoor grow?
Basically, there's a lot that goes into it. Like we talked about, like cleanliness of the grow. You gotta clean. That's huge. I also run a side business. I'm a certified pest applicator for the state of Wisconsin too. So that's really benefited me in this as well. Yeah. So, so being able to keep up on pest management like that has been super huge as far as, for instance, we had like a clone, that we were trying to use, and anyways, it had some aphids in it. We were able to knock them out immediately. The crop didn't go to waste, things like that. So that's been super huge to help with that. Just a good crew, good people coming in, dedication to the plant, commitment. You got to love the plant. You got to love the job too. So it's like I said, 7 days a week. You
Always
just
doing
got to,
something.
yeah, you
Well,
got to babysit.
that's got to help a lot with being able to identify the insects you run into, because I feel like that's like my first indoor. Just every time something popped up, whether it was a bug or a dog, like there's a plethora of knowledge out there, but it's hard to be like,
Yeah.
unless you have somebody coming to check it out, like, hey, this is exactly what it is. So
Yeah,
um,
absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's kind of cool too. I mean, the thing about Wisconsin too. I mean, we have a lot more going on in our woods and stuff like that. If you think about powdery mildew and all these kind of things that we see on a normal day, just going for a walk in the woods or something. So, you got to think about that. Another thing too, indoor, obviously, you need to change your clothes out, be mindful of that kind of stuff.
sure.
If you're walking in the woods or anything like that. I mean, it's a lot that goes into it for sure.
Sure, absolutely, man. What do we have here? Somebody was asking, what strains are you guys currently growing / harvesting, and do you know the differences in effects?
Mid Blueberry Kush is the big one. We tried some R&D on some biscotti, and then we did some other strains. We went through our Royal Queen seeds and stuff like that. So we met some reps out in Vegas and stuff like that. So we're kind of jumping around, trying a bunch of different ones. Right now, our main focus though is just CBG.
Sure.
So like the next run, we're gonna try this White Buffalo out and stuff like that. So basically, all the flower we grow here is hemp. So and a lot of it is just R&D. So
To figure out.
the differences in them, we do check into that. Sativa versus indica or hybrid. We do our own in-house testing. With the purple, we monitor stuff like that. We monitor our labs too. We use New Bloom Labs over there and stuff. So some of the I like the Mid Blueberry Kush. I think it's a pretty kind of chill. I like it. It's not bad. It's good for like inflammation and stuff like that. It's not too high energy, stuff like that. We've done another one like Sour G. That one's more sativa. I'm not really a big sativa fan. I don't know why. It just doesn't really agree with me.
Sure.
I love sativa plants, but I just high energy sativa. I'm more like in a mid-range kind of guy. So
Sure, a hybrid middle of the road.
yeah.
Joe was wondering what your take was on the farm bill that they were talking about. Did you have any? Have you been keeping a tabs on that craziness over
Yeah,
there?
to an extent, it's kind of disappointing.
I agree.
I don't know what the issue is with certain senators in the state like Robin Voss and all these guys. I mean, this plant has been persecuted and held back for how long, for what reason? Nobody in this state is going to lose $1, whether they're selling beer or they're selling bud. If this passes,
Right.
the state has no, they have no problem keeping half the state or whatever it is addicted to opiates and stuff. We have a fentanyl problem. We live in a town up here at like 1,500 people. We got fentanyl problems. We got high-speed chases every day. All this chaos, all this meth, and all this crap going around, and people are worried about a plant. So
Right.
my opinion is it's a bunch of BS, and I hope it doesn't go through. It's going to really kind of cripple a lot of people, probably including us, who put, like Tim, personally, who's put in all this work to, see this through. It's not just, he provides jobs for so many different people, and supports so many different things and stuff like that. So it's a personal level for a lot of us, involved in this industry. And it's you just kind of grit your teeth and you just try to keep your head up and keep going, man, and keep the faith. I mean, that's all you can do.
Definitely, and I'll have more that I can share here in probably another couple of weeks, as far as some things that we're trying to do with sitting down with different folks and trying to get some kind of traction to get the voice of the hemp farmers and the hemp businesses heard, because that, especially what was snuck into that bill that way, in the way that was, I would hope that wouldn't stick, as far as the crippling amendment that was added and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
just stuff we got to stay on top of. But there's only so much we
100%.
can
Yeah.
only so much we
Yeah.
can do. But I
Yeah,
think the
we're all
biggest
just
thing is,
staying positive over here, the best we can, and just like I said, trying to look ahead, down the road and keeping the faith and stuff. And
yeah,
I don't know, I got faith eventually this thing will happen. I really do. I believe it. So
it's got
not
to,
the,
man.
it's got to. It's getting ridiculous. I mean, it just makes no sense. We can't even have enough funding in the state to clean up roadkill on the side of the road, but we can lose. No offense to any other dispensary, right? It's no offense, but when those legal states, when they went legal, were they thinking about other states coming and
Right.
purchasing from them? And it's like,
Sure.
you understand what I'm saying? We all should be benefiting and working together on this.
Yep.
Like the Midwest, the way was what I believe. So
Definitely. Well, and yeah, because I know in talking to a few people from Minnesota, that's where they're eager to build as well as on the border. And it's like, how long are we going to let people just keep spending money out of state? It's ridiculous.
yeah.
But we had another question on here. What kind of nutrients and feeding schedules do you typically use for the indoor?
Nutrients. We kind of run just like a lot of I've used Fox Farm before. We use a lot of different companies like that. Fox Farm is definitely a decent brand to use if you want to try, to grow at home or, on your own, stuff like that. We have a few special ingredients that we use that are, trade secrets. So,
Sure, that's fair.
But yeah, but basically, we're throwing CalMag in, we're throwing in, bloom accelerants. We're just doing the whole regimen. We start off, from seed start. And then transplant all the way up into, like this last run, those 20-gallon bags. So basically, we run the vegetative regiment for, I don't know, like 4 or 5 weeks or something like that. And then, flour, basically, we do like a 9-week run on it or something. I can't even remember the time frame. It's
yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think here. It's basically like start to finish. It's going to be like a 3.5-month process. Roughly, okay. Including harvest. So if that can kind of help you narrow it down. We usually feed once a week or twice a week. If you're going to feed heavy and you're going to go full strength on whatever nutrients you're using out there, just monitor that. I mean, you can start burning your plants up and do all sorts of stuff like that. Don't be afraid to cut, nutrients back to help with, burning or deficiency or, you know what I mean? You got to kind of throttle through the plants.
Sure. Let it beep up kind of thing. Another question we had on here was, what kind of technology and equipment do you use do you use any technology or other equipment to monitor and manage your grow operation? I know I was a little more old school. I got like a journal. I have seen some fancy tents that have cameras and humidifiers that adjust and all that kind of stuff. What is your kind of setup over there?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of manual in here right now, a lot of manual different things, but we do run a lot of different stuff off of like industrial timers, stuff like that. All the watering is hand, we hand water the plants, and then everything like at harvest is hand trimmed just by preference of, upper management, stuff like that too. So basically, we've got a couple cool things. I mean, a big thing that you're going to want to get is, at least get something like, like sensor push or sensor stat or something like that. That's always a good one for your grows. That way you can monitor your humidity and then like your VPD and then, just that in like your temperature and stuff like that. That's always a good one to kind of keep on you. It Bluetooths to your phone. The things work pretty amazing. Other stuff we use, scopes and stuff like that. When we get towards maturity, that's huge. You want to use your jeweler's eyeglasses or stuff like that to check your trichromes and stuff like that too. So, sure. But other than that, as of right now, no, we don't. We're not too we're not
like automated.
Yeah, not right now, just because we are in the works of another facility and stuff like that, and talking greenhouses and all these other kind of things as well too. So a lot of big things going to be coming down the road eventually here. But like I said, we're kind of when you try to move in this direction and then you have people that come in and say, hey, we want to totally screw the farm bill up again, then you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. You want to, it's probably not a bad idea. Just to dial it in, I feel like, kind of getting that, just because if you went straight like automated, that just kind of takes the, in my opinion, it would probably take a lot of the like tweaking and still kind of figuring out what works best. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think it's
100%. I mean, I could see it like in some. Yeah, I mean, I could see it, when you're growing hundreds and hundreds of plants. I mean, the manpower and paying out that kind of money alone, would just be insane. So, um, but I also believe, I mean, it's just the hands-on. I think there's just a lot more care that goes into it as well too. So,
Sure.
but eventually, when we do grow here bigger stuff like that, we'll obviously have to automate and do all sorts of things like that. So,
Sure. Another thing that I was just trying to think back to, like when I started growing, some of the stuff I ran into. Can you talk a little bit about, did you have much incidents when you were first starting out with like this indoor growing, that as far as genetics? I feel like that's something that gets overlooked a lot. People just kind of look for cheap seeds, and then it's
yeah,
like, why
yeah.
can't I grow this plant? And just kind of the importance of good genetics.
It's genetics, I think, are definitely huge. A good company, that backs their product as well too. I mean, if you're gonna, it's really hard to find, hemp seeds as well too. I mean, you're basically purchasing out of Oregon or Colorado and stuff like that.
Right.
And I mean, we've had pretty good success, with like Oregon seeds and stuff like that. This new run, I can't remember where they're from. I think it's like a Colorado company, but anyways, yeah, definitely. It's the hard part about it is, Bobby, is I think you're trying to grow a plant that was already it's already wants to be a hermaphrodite. It's already basically got male genetics, right? So,
Right.
and then you're trying to feed this plant and trying to keep it at 0.3 or lower to stay within compliance, so that we can be legal over here. And it's such a it's neat when you pull it off, and it's a bummer when you don't, because then you have to do destruction reports and stuff, and like physically having to go watch how many, like we had to do it before, we said burn like 8 plants one time,
Sure.
and just throughout the years, and it's just like you have to be within compliance and stuff like that. And luckily all our stuff for the most part, since we switched over to just Ignite, has been right on the money and stuff like that. And like I said, we strive to try to do that. But the hard part is even over fertilizing it, or you have too much wind on the plant, or you have a light leak or anything. I feel like it's already so finicky trying to, because it's already, what I mean, that one wrong move and it's just like that. But if you're like in a legal state and you're growing regular cannabis, I mean, they're hardy, they want to grow. They're genetically just, tough already. I don't know. There's some other things you can do to start your seeds. Try to get them boosts as well too. Products out there and stuff you can dunk them in and stuff too. So.
Sure. Well, speaking of dunking, how do you start your seeds? Do you have
me?
Dude,
I've done them every way. Paper towel right in the soil, enzyme baths, all sorts of stuff like that. I don't know. I kind of feel like I haven't really noticed a difference. I guess I'd say maybe with the enzyme bath, maybe a little bit of a difference, but it's, yeah.
I feel like once you verify you have good genetics, then I feel like it's pretty much, like, I shouldn't say foolproof, but I think any of those methods work. But
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But I don't know. For some reason, I like the paper towel thing, even though it drives me nuts. Like sometimes it sticks, and then it ripped. One time I ripped the little tail off the seed, but I don't know.
Yeah, I got these big clumsy fingers here too, so yeah, it's hard to pick them up. Yeah, that's.
And I'm only talking 4 seeds, so yeah, if I was doing more, I don't know that I'd want to mess with all that. But I was just kind of curious. Sure. Let's see. So we got genetics. That was one of the questions we had. Can you talk a little bit about, or have you seen any? Is there anything that you're looking into as far as trends in the cannabis industry, maybe specifically with indoor cultivation? Is there any new? I feel like there's always, this new dry freezing or something, maybe. Is that
like freeze drying your cannabis and stuff. We've kind of experimented with that a little bit now too. Just the curing process, kind of eliminates a lot of time. It's definitely, it takes some money to, get up and running with it for a machine big enough to be able to process, up to a pound or more a day. You know what I mean? You're going to have to run a whole operation, but it is very cool. It's interesting. So it drops down to about 10 below zero, and then it freezes the cannabis, and then it goes through a long like drying process, about 65, 60 degrees, something like that. So basically in about 18 to 24 hours, your bud is completely cured, and could be ready for shelf or to smoke. So yeah, it's really neat, versus, like hang drying, where basically, I mean, the shortest time I've ever successfully hung dry is like 7 to 10 days. You know what I mean? So, but sometimes depending on your environment, and that's a whole other animal as well too, when we get into curing bud and that kind of stuff. But
what kind of space you can keep it in.
yeah, absolutely.
We were talking freeze dry harvest. Oh crap! I thought. Have you ever looked into or thought about hydro growing? That it intimidates the hell out of me for some reason.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've had some buddies, that have done it, in other states and stuff as well too, and they just, I don't know, they swear by it. I guess I'm a little intimidated by it too. It seems like a lot of work, and I don't know. To me, I don't know. A lot of me, I think, growing up and just being exposed the way I was, I'm really old school about it too, So sure. I got to stop being that curmudgeon guy and keep my mind open to, these new ways and stuff, because I mean, I kind of look at it like this now. I mean, every time I go and I see this plant, I learn something new about it every time. Every time I walk in that room, every grow, every run, every time I trim it, it's kind of cool. It's just one of those plants,
And because the thing that I really struggled with my first grow was, am I overwatering or underwatering? And so I feel like hydro, that might be the nice thing if you could tune in, but yeah, I don't know. It just still seems, I don't know, something seems too tricky for me. But like you said, maybe. Well, Green Swan says living soil for the win. That's definitely the one that was the easiest for me by far. Because even with newts, it's the same thing. It's kind of like, wait, now does it have too much newts or not enough newts? And you check into ppm, and like you're supposed to keep a journal, but if you forget to write it down, But
all that stuff is huge. Like I said, I'm learning a lot of new stuff too. I was pretty blessed to be able to go over to Minnesota and hook up with like Canna-Connect over there and stuff like that. And they had some classes, on that. And my coworker Nikki, we had gone over there and stuff like that and taken a bunch of different classes on that at the time. It's very interesting to me. I see I see the benefits of, living soil and making your own and stuff like that. I think it's pretty cool. I definitely would be more cost effective, than, doing like, fertilizer every day or every week and stuff like that, but like I said, everything is, got, I don't know, all soil to me kind of seems living as well too. You know what I mean? But it's all got its pros and cons, I guess. So.
Well, and that's kind of the interesting thing too. And I think just in general, I feel like it'd be really nice if we could get to a point where one day we can all, where Wisconsin allows home growing, and then it'd be really nice to have a class where you get the genetics that you're going to be working with, and you get the media that you're going to be working with, because and I completely forgot why my first grow was such a mess, because there was a store, that tomato store or whatever, like guy was very helpful, we'll say, right? And but he was like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm showing him pictures, and he's like, go get the thing, put a bag over it, put it in your trunk, because I had tried buying everything, fish guts, all this stuff, and it was just we couldn't figure it out. Well, once I brought it there, that's when we figured out that I had auto flower seeds.
Oh yeah,
which is way different, and just so I feel like it's nice when people obviously want to try to help you, but again, if your genetics are different, it's just there's so much to it, where it'd be really nice if there could be, hopefully one day there'll be like a streamlined kind of like a get your feet wet, here's how it works, specifically for that strain, because it's a lot more work than I think a lot of people think. A lot of people are like, oh, it's a weed, it grows like a weed.
I honestly think, like, down the road here too, I think eventually Ignite's extremely about educating the customers and clients and everything. That's one of Tim's biggest things here is we have to educate. All the store staff is trained to educate anybody that comes into the store. So if you have questions, they're there to answer these questions, to direct you and what products work best for you, all that kind of stuff. So I believe eventually that doing these CE classes, for growing 101, all that kind of stuff. I know a lot of other states are starting to do it right now as well, Minnesota and stuff like that. I'm not sure if Michigan's starting to do that too a little bit, but definitely I think, we would more than willing to love to do that and provide that to the community and stuff like that once legalization hits. So
Definitely.
even with hemp, eventually, but right now, it's just about timing and this farm bill and all
Sure. Yeah. Stipulations. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Waldo was asking your opinion on light depth forest flower.
Light depth forest flower.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can you?
Light depth forest flower.
Forest flower.
Yeah. Light. I gotta Google this.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to Google that too.
I have it in my head. So allows you to control the hours of light your outdoor cannabis plants receive. When you trick your plants into thinking that the shorter light periods of fall are beginning, they will speed up the flowering process.
It sounds really complicated to me.
Well, and again, this is where it gets a little interesting for me because it's, if you're, how do we know what we're actually like? Okay, let's say we got Blue Dream. What is the most perfect outcome of that Blue Dream strain? Is it the highest THC percentage? Is it the highest terpene percentage? So I feel like when you start tricking it, again, it might be what somebody's looking for, but it's again, it's weird to talk about.
If you can pull it off, then by all means, you know what I mean. You know what I mean? I guess I've done this enough times where if it works for you, I've never, attempted that form of a method. I am curious to look into it. But yeah, I've learned a lot by just trial and error, and I've lost a lot of plants. And, I guess I'm not trying to be not open to different forms of growing, stuff like that. But as my job, I have to do what works. You know what I mean? To an extent, there's a certain extent of R&D, but then I have to produce as well at the end of the day. So, so yes, I guess I don't have an opinion on it because I'm not really, I don't know.
Not versed on it yet.
Yeah.
Not versed on it.
So to me, something like that, I think, I guess my experience with something like that, when you start tweaking your plants like that, a good time, depending on what week of flower it is, because even if you're out there doing like major defoliations and stuff like that, if you overdo it, you'll herm your plants out. You know what I mean? You end up with seeds. So it's, the stress it's a whole different animal on those plants. I mean, there's all these different techniques out there. I mean, there's, training them out. There's different living soil now. There's this, there's that. I think that, and it's cool because I think we're just learning all together now more and more as we go, so traditional old school growing is, not a thing of the past, but I think that it's reaching a level where, the sky's the limit with this plant. So.
Sure. Well, and isn't there's something that it took me the longest time, even after being told until I finally bought a book. It was a Cannabis Hand Growers Handbook or something super thick, but I would talk to someone and then I'd come home and be able to go right to, soil amendments, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was even just fimming and topping. A lot of people think that's the same thing, but it's not. And it's, there's just so many different, like you say, techniques, and
it's just technique. Yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? It's, there's so many different things you can do it. You just mentioned the topping, I mean, you can literally control your plants, size and you know what I'm saying by doing that, what stage you're going to take it at, what note, things like that. So, yeah, definitely, man, there's a lot of info out there. And, to me, I just hands-on experience it's been my best friend as far as this plant goes. So.
Sure. I will say, so I was only doing 2 plants. So I did 2 plants. Now, granted, I was adding nutrients and struggling with that. I mean, my second grow, I would say I definitely doubled the output of bud, but I also did the scrog net. That made sense to me, that you kind of help open it up and then they start shooting up. But yeah, it's even that there's someone was just telling me it was mainstreaming or what are they? So I thought they were talking scrog, but this is running a whole the main stem, cutting everything else, pulling it this way, cutting that, taking it this way, splitting it. Yeah, like you say,
there's a cool page on Facebook called Pirate Boarding.
Pirate Boarding? Boarding?
Pirate Boarding, yeah.
Okay.
Check that out. I mean, these guys are literally taking hula hoops and tying their plants down and stuff like that. It's super crazy, man. They're making them in the shapes of drones and all sorts of stuff. It's, you know what I mean? So it's just, I think that it's really cool, because back when I still have the book, I got a book. I think it was, I don't even remember. I think it was written in the 70s or the 80s or something.
Was it by Ed Rosenthal by chance?
Yeah, that's the book.
Hey,
Yeah,
that's what I got.
yeah.
I got
Everybody's got that book, right?
Yeah,
Everybody's got that book. So
lots of info.
you know what I mean? I feel like people are really blessed to be able to have this information out there, to be able to go to classes on this, to even have, like in the legal states, to have the opportunity to grow your own, because, that's where it's at. I mean, no offense to dispensaries. I support all dispensaries. I support Ignite, all the sponsors on here and stuff like that, props to all you guys and stuff. I mean, keep kicking butt out there and stuff. You know what I mean? But just to have that option, because I know some people, they don't want to go to a dispensary. They want to just grow theirs because they trust what they're growing. You know what I'm saying? There's something for everybody. So, yeah.
And I think too, just like the biggest reason I went through the whole process a couple of times was just education. I want to know more about the plant, and come to find out it's a lot more complex than I thought it was. And I think it's just there's definitely a difference when you smoke your own bud too. For some reason, I'm really stingy with it. Like, oh my gosh, I'm down to 4 jars. Or
you get to walk around like a boss then too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's I think it's something that everyone would enjoy once they are able to figure it out. I think it's a good way to bring people together, and just to understand of the plant. But I also think, like for me, it's really expanded over the last year or so, where it's like, I don't know, it's probably more so in my head, because even like, I'll have 2 strains that are pretty similar effects, but like, it'll just be like, I want Blue Dream tonight. Like, I don't know. So I feel like I wouldn't want to grow that many. And like Foundry Nation drinks, like I am not going to try to figure out how to put my bud into a drink. That sounds like a very big problem, but you know what I mean? So I definitely think they both kind of have a place. But man, how many different drinks do you guys, does Foundry Nation or Balanced, like Ignite? How many? You guys carry a lot of drinks, don't you?
We carry a lot,
and you make quite a few.
Yeah, the CEO, Tim Fry, his wife is actually involved with Balance, one of the owners over there of it and stuff like that too. So, we have Balance, and then Foundry. I think we're carrying like some beneficial mushroom drinks now, like Odyssey, I believe the brand is. We got a ton of them, man. No, it's huge. It's cool. Balances in like even the grocery store in town here and stuff like that. So it's pretty neat to see that. You know what I mean? People are coming around a lot more than I think politicians are, allowing credit to be given. So, the customer base, that even I see, I have school teachers coming in seeking out products, ex-law enforcement, people of all ages, we have people come in, that are in their 70s, 80s, 90s sometimes, it's just, it's awesome to be able to see people have the availability to medicate themselves with this. And, I could go on and on about countless stories and people that Tim's kind of set up and helped out, and people that have gotten off of medications, by using CBG regimens and, stuff like that. So
that's awesome.
It's definitely definitely time for a change up here, man.
Definitely. And to add on to that, CBG is definitely my favorite cannabinoid at the moment, as far as like I enjoy my THC to kind of relax psychoactivity wise, but I love CBG because I can use it during the day, I can use it in the evening. CBG.
I started using a little bit more of it now too. Just for like inflammation and stuff like that, and I barely even take ibuprofen that much anymore. You know what I mean? So which is huge. I mean, because I'd have to take four of those at a time, just to even feel anything. And you know what I mean? It's cool to have a different option for sure.
Felt that. I have a question for you. What is your favorite strain to consume? Like, you could pick out anything, and you're going to get a year's supply of it.
Oh boy, that a year's supply, huh?
Yeah. What strain?
If I could go back to like when I was like in my 20s, when like White Rhino first hit the scene, man, like that would be, that would be like where it's at, man. That stuff was just banging for the time. You know what I mean? Other than that, I guess honestly, I fall back on gelato. I just really love that strain for some reason. Vanilla gelato is probably one of my favorite ones I've ever had. So
Nella Gelato. I'm a Jack Herrera guy. Jack Herrera Northern Lights would be my, depending on what I'm looking to do.
Very
Um,
cool.
but I'm also, I feel like I'm falling into a crowd here, and I'm like a follower now. But there's something about that permanent marker. I don't know what it is, but I don't know if it does, because it does taste. I just can't even say that. It doesn't taste like a permanent marker. It tastes, well, I guess a little bit. I don't know, but it's something with the taste and the effects. I really do enjoy that permanent marker.
Yeah, I
Uh,
guess another big one of mine is like the breath strains. So like goat's breath, lamb's
oh,
breath.
sure.
You know what I mean? Like I think they got like meat breath now. All
Yeah,
this kind of stuff.
they got
But
something.
yeah, I don't know, man. I love that really gassy weed, and where it kind of lights your face up right here. So
Sure.
yeah,
Gets the old face on fire, as they say.
face on fire.
How how do you guys go about ensuring compliance with local and state regulations? Is there I know there's the pre harvest that you got to send out for, but is there anything else that you do as far as, do you guys test it before that, after that, or
Yeah,
um,
so right from the start, after we plant, as soon as we from we after seed start, basically when we're ready to transplant them into the final pot, then we have to go to the USDA, submit a planting report. It has to be a map drawn up of the room, square footage involved, how many plants, strains, all that kind of stuff. Then they get a copy of that. Then they send it back to us. Then we're legit. Then we do a 15-day pre-harvest test where we have a USDA agent come up, and we pay them to come over. They take a sample. They have to take X amount of the plant, which is usually like a full liter. So that would be like a full stem, leaves, and then the top, like the buds on it. So they take that in, and then we basically we take that in. He sends that in, and then we wait for the lab results from that, and that tells us whether basically it'll come back and tell us total THC, CBD, CBG, whatever, like a whole list. I mean, yeah. So yeah, and as long as everything is in compliance, then we're good. Generally, sometimes we will send out another test just for our own knowledge, just to make sure. And we do that with basically every product that is ever sold here. So
sure.
just because we get a test from a supplier doesn't mean we always run in-house tests, because everything we do here is legit and compliant. So
And you gotta you definitely gotta cover your ass. I feel like, especially right now with the
100%. Yeah.
THCA, it's a beautiful loophole, or whatever you want to call it, but it's
Yeah.
also a lot of other stuff involved with that. So definitely want to cover
Yeah.
your butt.
And another unfortunate thing that
Right.
doesn't need to be,
Right.
you could legalize it.
Right, exactly. And then we also want to kind of reel it in with what advice would you give to someone looking to start their own indoor grow operation? Obviously, assuming they have a license and they're in a legal state. We'll start with that. But what's some advice that you would give to those legal growers out there?
To the legal growers, yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're gonna, like I say, if you're going to head into your basement or something like that, I mean, you have to remember cleanliness, things like that. Your environment is huge. I think, honestly, if you're only growing personally for yourself, they do have some pretty decent tents out there now for a decent price, which, they're pretty successful. You can get the whole kit. I can't remember the price tag on them is, but, that'd be an easy way to go. It's a lot of work and a lot of money to take a pre-existing building sometimes and to redo it. On the market right now, they have all sorts of things, though, options. They have shelving systems and racks where you can grow vertically. Basically, you have to just kind of pick out your space, square footage, figure out, what, like your footprint is going to be on your light, so if you're using LEDs or you're using HPSs or whatever, HPSs I wouldn't use, because you're going to be paying, your electric bill will be crazy. So, there's a lot more heat involved with it, stuff like that. So it's really hard for the environment. You know what I mean? Then you're running air conditioners and things like that. So, it's for somebody that's doing one or two plants, that's what I would do. Basically, but you're going to have to spend some money, intake, exhaust, and then you're going to have to have somebody to exhaust the building. You're going to have to monitor your humidity in there, your vapor pressure deficit, temperature, all that kind of stuff. So
shout out to, hey, the one thing I did figure out that saved me quite a bit of money. Well, I guess it wasn't that much. I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on a humidifier. and the ones that you normally get in a store only go up to like 45 or 50%. And then I found the setup with the 5-gallon bucket and then like the fogger from like a pond. And this little float and that little thing, man. That, and then you get that little the electronic watches the humidity, turns it on or off. That was pretty slick. That was that I impressed myself with, but the rest of it I was like, definitely I recommend keeping a journal, especially if you're like me, because you want to see what helped and what didn't, and stick to your damn.
I mean, we generally there's a lot of note taking. Most of mine's just done on so every run we do, it's every single day is there's some kind of a record of it, whether you're watering, whether you're feeding, defoliation, things like that. It's certain like periods, or like, track your plants, after you do a few runs and start noticing these differences, similarities, things like that. You can start tracking that, like Bobby said, in your notes or however you want to keep track of it in your head, whatever works easier for you. And then it's just going to help you hone in your own skills. Eventually it'll just pop and everything's going to make sense to you. That's what it did for me. All of a sudden I was like, holy crap, I spent a good chunk of my life overthinking how to grow this plant well. And all I had to do was just, relax, spend some time with them. And then I made 3-4 different moves with it. And the results were insane. So,
sure.
And now I've been able to, successfully be able to pull, I think the most I got off a 3-foot plant now is like 1.25, 1.5 pounds,
That's so impressive.
It's crazy. I mean, to think you could even get a plant that small, because to get, outside to get some of that, like that weight, 1.25 pounds. I mean, that's sometimes a 5 to 7 foot tall plant, so.
Right. And I did share a link to the Cannabis Growers Handbook. I definitely recommend that because they updated it. So like, even when you were talking about, it helped me with figuring out what size I was going to be in, what size lights I needed.
Yeah.
I think it's like $40, but it has
that's huge. A lot of people, if you say you're going to set your basement up, or you got a garage, or you got an old barn or something, whatever you're doing, you literally have to do that. You need to research your footprint of your lights, stuff like that.
And that's why the tent is so nice, because like I even had just a small pantry, but it was like 3 times the size of a grow tent. So then your heater's running 3 times as much, your humidifier running 3 times as much. So yeah, it definitely helps you kind of figure out some of those things that you don't think of until you're already into it. And then
that perfect balance. That's literally what you need, a perfect balance. So if you can make your environment where you can run it at a perfect setting for it to grow, then your results will be awesome. So
true.
But generally, you always have some ups and downs along the way.
Always. Well, definitely appreciate your time, Nate. I want to let folks know, especially if you're in the Spooner area, you should stop by and see Nate. That's where he is out of. You can check out his grow right at their location. Again, that's Ignite Dispensary. If you stop in, make sure you say hi to him. I'm sure he'd be happy to see you. If he's tending to his plants, so don't stare at him and scare him. But no, there's a great staff. Yeah, I suppose. They got a great staff out there. They're very knowledgeable, great lineup of products. You know what you're getting, just like with a lot of the other folks that are in the chat with us as well. There are people out there with great hemp products that work. Nate, was there a point in your life where you said hemp don't do nothing? Right? I take that back. I think we both have the respect. Like CBD is a lifesaver, right? And
to me, I get what you're saying. It's not that it doesn't do anything. It has its benefits. It has so many different benefits and stuff like that. The ability that we have nowadays to extract and to do all these different things to make that into different products. Whatever it is. I mean, that's huge, because not everybody wants to smoke either. But to me, honestly, like I said, I don't always go hardcore. Like once in a while I'll smoke some heavy indica, and I'll smoke some sativa once in a while, right? But for me personally, I found that I am more productive, that I don't forget as much. I stay more on task. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I don't sit there and munch out all day long, go nuts and stuff. So I stay with the hybrids, because it's just, I stay more level. You know what I mean? So honestly, I would rather have, real cannabis all day long.
Sure.
For that reason, you know what I mean? Yeah. I haven't really been able to find that. like THCA flower is really good and stuff like that. I'm trying some of these, now and stuff like that. And I haven't quite found the one for me yet. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But like with regular cannabis, it's been a hell of a lot easier to, but this is what I like, like the strains I told you.
Yep.
Like,
well, and there's so much. I feel like the curing with THCA, there's so many different, like you could get the same, same strain name, but quite adverse different effects, or that's kind of the concern I have with THCA is just the consistency with how everything's set up right now. But
yeah, and it's and it's not nothing against it, you know what I mean. But I just feel like all these loopholes, all these ways that we're just trying to find to just be able to smoke a plant. I mean, this has got to end. You know what I mean? It's
sure. It's
Wisconsin needs to step up and get on board. The people here are starting to stand up and speak about it. And, I mean, every politician that's been elected says they're going to do something about it. For the most part, not every politician. I take that back. There's a lot of good ones out there, but there's certain ones in this state, and I'm not going to fire away names or anything like that. But you know what I mean? People just got to get on board, and I know what the hangup is. I hope to God that this farm bill doesn't go through, for the state of Wisconsin. I got into this business. It was really hard for me to, put myself out there, and be in a window growing cannabis in a town I grew up in, a town of, I grew up in Shell Lake, which is even smaller than Spooner. You know what I mean? Everybody knows everybody up here and stuff like that. And, and it really, I was nervous about it for a long time, but now after 4 years, I'm just like the amount of people that I see that come in, even my own mother has come in to see the plants, and she hasn't ingested cannabis in forever, and now she's using gummies and stuff, once in a while for aches and pains, and my stepdad who's, pushing 80, it's like, it's just, man, it's crazy. And, like, I really respect everything you're doing, Bobby, and putting yourself out there too, for everybody like that, man. So much love
Appreciate
to you.
It.
Yeah. If you need anything, where we're at, and, look forward to you stopping by again sometime. So
definitely, brother. I appreciate that. And I think we're on the same page, all of us who are in this right now. The video, you, me, this is when we just got to keep growing the education. I feel like more and more people I feel like we're able to get through to more people now. And I think like just even having like cannabis drinks and just different avenues of consumption and stuff, like with the plethora of the lineup there, with the hemp that's available in Wisconsin, we just need to keep sticking together. And there's some days where I'm like, does anyone, do people, am I doing a damn thing? Am I just some loud, you know what I mean? Like, but that's the tough part. That's where politicians have had the upper hand for so long. And that's because what can we actually do other than stick together? And we can't not stick together. We just need to keep growing. They have to do something eventually. And, that's all we can do. So it takes all of us.
I seen the coolest thing on a shirt one time. It said, "Let's grow together." You know what I mean? And
that's awesome.
That really applies to a lot of things, not just growing cannabis, but like what you just said, you know what I mean? So absolutely, everybody needs to stay on board with this and keep up the good fight, and, I'm happy to be here. This is a really cool job, dream job for me. I've dreamed about this since I was 15 years old, and so much love to Ignite, for this opportunity to be here and stuff. And, it's been a heck of a ride, but I'm looking ahead, staying positive like the rest of us here and stuff. And, man, appreciate you.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, you have a great night. Thank you again for joining us.
Bobby.
There you go, plant manager. All right, buddy. Everyone have a great night. We'll catch you guys on